Hello dear friends. Welcome back to the channel. If you understand English but feel blocked when you speak it in front of others, you are in the right place. This channel is not about memorizing rules. It is not about sounding perfect. It is about making English feel normal and natural in your mind. Before we go further, you need to hear this clearly. If your English feels okay when you are alone, but starts falling apart when someone listens to you, then your problem is not grammar. It is not vocabulary. It is not fluency. This video is about what happens inside your brain at the exact moment you start speaking English, and why that moment changes everything. Think about this honestly. When you are alone, you can think in English. You can form sentences. You can explain ideas in your head. But the moment someone looks at you and listens, your mind feels empty. Your words disappear. And suddenly, you feel like your English is gone. What is actually going wrong? Most people believe that if they cannot speak English confidently, it means their English is weak. Because of this belief, they start blaming themselves. They assume their grammar is bad, their vocabulary is limited, or they are not fluent enough. Over time, this thought becomes so normal that they stop questioning it. But if your English were truly weak, you would not be able to understand videos like this or follow English conversations at all. The real problem does not start before speaking. It starts the moment you begin speaking. As soon as you open your mouth, your brain shifts its focus. It stops thinking about language and starts thinking about judgment. Instead of helping you express ideas, it asks silent questions. What if I make a mistake? What if they laugh? What if I sound stupid? This mental shift changes everything. Your brain moves from communication to self-protection. When your brain feels unsafe, it no longer supports clear speech. Its only goal becomes protecting you from embarrassment. That is why your sentences break. That is why simple words disappear. That is why your accent suddenly feels worse. This does not happen because your English disappears. It happens because your brain decides that speaking English is risky. If you observe yourself closely, you will notice a pattern. You do not struggle in every situation. You struggle in specific moments. Interviews, meetings, classrooms, any place where you feel watched or judged. But when you speak with friends or talk to yourself, your English feels much better. English never changed. The pressure did. This is the truth most people never hear. You do not forget English when you speak. You panic, and panic blocks access to language. This is not a learning problem. It is a pressure problem. Why your brain treats English differently? Your brain does not treat English like a normal language. It treats English like a performance. From school to exams to interviews, English is rarely used as simple communication. It is used as something that is judged. Because of this, your brain learns one dangerous association. English means evaluation. Whenever you speak English, your brain assumes that someone is measuring you. It believes your intelligence is being tested. It believes your confidence is being judged. Even when nobody says anything, this belief quietly stays in the background. And because the brain is designed to protect you, it reacts. Instead of letting thoughts flow naturally, your brain starts monitoring everything. It checks grammar before meaning. It checks pronunciation before clarity. It checks speed before understanding. This constant monitoring creates tension. And tension makes speaking harder, not easier. This is why your English feels different from your native language. When you speak your mother tongue, your brain feels safe. There is no fear of judgment. There is no pressure to sound smart. But with English, the brain feels watched. And when the brain feels watched, it becomes careful. Being careful might sound useful, but it is not. Carefulness slows thinking. It breaks flow. It makes you hesitate. And hesitation creates more fear. This is how a small worry slowly turns into a speaking block. This pattern does not mean you are weak. It means your brain has learned the wrong signal. It learned to treat English as a test, not as a tool. And as long as English feels like a test, your brain will continue to resist it. The big mistake most English learners make. Once people realize they struggle while speaking, they usually respond in the same way. They try to fix their English. They add more grammar rules. They memorize more vocabulary. They watch more videos. They believe that knowledge will solve the problem. This feels logical, but it is the wrong approach. The issue was never a lack of English. If knowledge were the problem, your English would fail everywhere. But it does not. It fails only under pressure. That alone proves the problem is not skill. What actually happens is that more learning increases pressure. With every new rule, your brain feels more responsible. With every new word, it feels more afraid of choosing the wrong one. Instead of feeling free, you feel monitored by your own mind. This is why improvement often feels invisible. You study for months, yet speaking feels the same. Sometimes it even feels worse. That is because your brain is now trying harder to avoid mistakes. And the harder it tries, the more tense you become. Over time, this creates a dangerous cycle. Pressure creates hesitation. Hesitation creates fear. Fear creates silence. And silence convinces you that your English is still bad. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. You do not need more English to speak better. You need less pressure while speaking. Until pressure is addressed, no amount of knowledge will feel enough. The mindset shift that unblocks English. The real change begins when you stop trying to sound correct and start trying to be clear. Most speaking pressure comes from the need to be perfect. When that need disappears, your brain begins to relax. And a relaxed brain can access language again. The first shift is to slow down on purpose. You do not need to match the speed of your thoughts. You only need to express one idea at a time. Slower speech gives your brain time to organize meaning instead of searching for mistakes. The second shift is to accept simple sentences. Complex sentences increase pressure. Simple sentences reduce it. When you allow yourself to speak simply, your confidence grows naturally. Clarity matters more than complexity. Another important shift is allowing pauses. Silence is not failure. Silence is thinking time. When you stop fighting pauses, your mind stays calm. And when your mind stays calm, words return on their own. The final shift is internal. You remind yourself that you are not performing. You are not being tested. You're only sharing a thought. This single reminder changes how your brain responds to English. When pressure drops, English does not need to be forced. It flows, not because you learned more, but because your mind finally feels safe enough to speak. The real truth you needed to hear. If you have reached this point in the video, you need to hear this clearly. Your struggle with English was never a personal failure. It was never proof that you are slow, weak, or incapable. It was simply the result of carrying too much pressure for too long. You were not silent because you had nothing to say. You were silent because you were afraid of being judged. And that fear slowly taught your brain to hold back, even when you knew the words inside. But the moment you stop fighting yourself, something changes. When you remove the need to impress, English stops feeling heavy. It becomes lighter. It becomes usable. It starts feeling like a tool again, not a test you keep failing. This is why you do not need to become someone else to speak English well. You do not need a new personality. You do not need perfect grammar. You only need permission to speak without fear. So, the next time your mind goes blank, do not panic. Remind yourself that your English is still there. Remind yourself that pressure is the problem, not you. And give yourself the space to speak imperfectly. If this video made you feel understood, let that be a sign. You're not alone in this. Many people struggle silently with the same fear. If you want English to feel calmer and more natural, stay here. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video if it helped you. If you feel comfortable, leave a comment saying, "My English is fine." Saying it once can change how you think forever. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.